here. It's just crazy.
Hurricane Katrina, a name that will live in infamy. One of the worst natural disasters in American history.
Oh my gosh.
I had a woman in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. I had a woman, I've never really said this in public out loud in front of a lot of cameras, and there's a lot of cameras in this room now. But I had a mother to call me because her son had a very gruesome task. Her son's charge by the Department of Defense was to process 5,000 bodies that had received a single bullet wound to the head. And these were mostly males. And her son was afraid to talk because he had signed a silence agreement. So he only complained to his mother. But the data about these individuals was entered into a Pentagon computer. And then reportedly, the bodies were dumped in a swamp in Louisiana. This is as a result of the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. Now, I have and I have verification from insiders who wish to remain anonymous at the Red Cross that this is true. I suspect that these were prisoners, and so you know this investigation of the whole prison industrial complex is extremely important, and it should not end with just a question of the nature of prisons in our country, but these 5,000 souls also need some justice too.
We have been abandoned by our own country. Hurricane Katrina will go down in history as one of the worst storms ever to hit an American coast, but the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina will go down as one of the worst abandonments of Americans on American soil ever in U.S. history.
Mr. Broussard, let me ask, hold on, sir. Shouldn't the mayor of New Orleans and the governor of New Orleans bear some responsibility? Couldn't they have been much more forceful, much more effective, and much more organized in evacuating the area?
Sir, they were told, like me, every single day, the cavalry's coming. On a federal level, the cavalry's coming, the cavalry's coming, the cavalry's coming. I have just begun to hear the hoofs of the cavalry. The cavalry's still not here yet, but I've begun to hear the hoofs, and we're almost a week out. Let me give you just 3 quick examples. We had Walmart deliver 3 trucks of water, trailer trucks of water. FEMA turned them back. They said we didn't need them. This was a week ago. FEMA, we had 1,000 gallons of diesel fuel on a Coast Guard vessel docked in my parish. The Coast Guard said, come get the fuel right away. When we got there with our trucks, they got a word. FEMA says, don't give you the fuel. Yesterday, FEMA comes in and cuts all of our emergency communication lines. They cut them without notice. Our sheriff, Harry Lee, goes back in, he reconnects the line, he posts armed guards on our line and says no one's getting near these lines. Sheriff Harry Lee said that if American government would have responded like Walmart has responded, we wouldn't be in this crisis. But I want to thank Governor Blanco for all she's done and all her leadership. She sent in the National Guard. I just repaired a breach on my side of the 17th Street Canal that the Secretary didn't foresee, a 300-foot breach. I just completed it yesterday with convoys of National Guard and local parish workers and levee board people. It took us 2.5 days working 24/7. I just closed it. I'm telling you, Most importantly, I want to thank my public employees that have worked 24/7, that burn out, the doctors, the nurses. And I want to give you one last story, and I'll shut up and let you tell me whatever you want to tell me. The guy who runs this building I'm in, emergency management, he's responsible for everything. His mother was trapped in St. Bernard nursing home, and every day she called him and said, "Are you coming, son? Is somebody coming?" And he said, "Yeah, Mama, somebody's coming to get you. Somebody's coming to get you on Tuesday. Somebody's coming to get you on Wednesday. Somebody's coming to get you on Thursday. Somebody's coming to get you on Friday." And she drowned it Friday night. She drowned it Friday night.
Mr. President,
Nobody's coming to get us. Nobody's coming to get us. The Secretary has promised. Everybody's promised. They've had press conferences. I'm sick of the press conferences. For God's sakes, shut up and send us somebody.
just take a pause, Mr. President. While you gather yourself in your very emotional times, I understand.
All right, we are here with my guest, who shall be remain. Well, how may we refer to you? We have a U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs sheet, confidential client information released with consent of client and representative of AMVETS. I'm leaving out name and other pertinent information. And we name
Captain G.
Captain G.
Of the 104th Transportation Division.
Okay, of the 104th Transportation Division. And you had deliveries to, what about some of the harder things you delivered?
Well, in 2005, New Orleans was struck by what they call Hurricane Katrina. And at that time, I was stationed in a military base in Georgia. And I found it strange, but 11 days before the storm hit, 11 days, I mean, I don't even think I remember hearing anything being predicted about this storm coming until about 4 or 5 days before the storm. But this emergency conference came in for us to gather up as many body bags. You're going to need about 5,200 body bags. First thing I'm thinking is, oh, fuck. The Iraqis have taken over. You know, there's some big terrorist event that's about to go down on us. And basically, I was correct, but it wasn't. See, my mind was be trained to think that the Arabs, the Muslims, were our terrorists. But today, that particular day, the United States government was the biggest fucking terrorist. And I say this to say I love the military, but I don't love some of the stupid shit that we do. Unnecessary shit we do. But when they ordered the 5,200 body bags and told us that it's going to be for, they said the exact area, they named off certain wards, and they said there's nothing that we're going to be able to do. This is going to be such a major flood that we're going to need these body bags. They wanted us to deliver those. So we get there, we deliver them.
How did they know it was coming to New Orleans?
It had to be ordered. See, just like there's a chain of command. Obviously, somebody informed at that time the governor, okay? And then the governor was like, okay, Big Brother, federal government, is just giving me some information. I got to act on it. Because if I don't, then Big Brother can step on me, stomp on me, you know. Believe it or not, although I'm half black, half Hispanic, people don't realize how the Confederacy was so more right than the Union. But anyways, so I believe he was given some information about something that was going to go down. And this is how we're going to support you. You just take what we're giving you. And so anyways, once he gets that order, he has to take it in front of Congress. I don't know if y'all, so, you know, a lot of things that they vote on and talk about, you don't ever hear about. You know, they go into their little secret little chambers,
right.
Don't even need the whole assembly.
Right.
just get 4 of us to agree, type thing. But anyways, so we did that, and I found it strange that that was all they wanted us to deliver at that time. They weren't concerned about
Supplies, or
right. But the day we got there, I also found it strange. Although you do have at that time on Poland, it was a naval base. I found it strange that I kept running into. It almost seemed like 3 teams of Navy SEALs. And although as an officer I am privileged to some top security stuff, but I don't think that that naval research base is a training facility of theirs. Though I could be wrong because I have not know much about naval intelligence, but I just found that strange that they were there.
they were in anticipation of something.
That's what I believe.
This was how many days again before the storm?
Now at that point now, because it takes a while to gather up all of those, and we were told to walk. We were told to work 24-hour shifts. Man, so getting those things. So we fulfilled their order within right about 72 hours. So I would say this now marks us at about 8 days before the storm.
So 8 days before the storm, 5,000.
226 is what we have.
5,226 body bags were delivered to New Orleans in anticipation to the storm, they were saying?
They didn't tell us why they needed them.
They didn't tell you why.
I mean, yes, you're correct. Okay, at first, right. But then that's when we got to New Orleans, that's when No, wait, the other way around. You're right.
No, you tell me. I don't know.
That, yes, we were told that Hurricane Katrina was going to be they told us a Category 5.
Okay, that was when you got to New Orleans. They told you that.
No, that was, you remember the first briefing.
The first briefing.
So we already knew why we were bringing it.
Category
I'm sorry.
5.
Right.
But why New Orleans and not some other part in the Gulf? Or is that just where it was going to land? Or how were they so sure that it was coming to New Orleans 8 days out?
New Orleans was going to be the hardest hit.
That's interesting because...
That they could predict that they said by the satellite they were using with a 210% accuracy of their prediction.
210 because they're driving it, in my opinion. But this is not something that I knew with 210%. There was like 2 days before the storm. I remember who was hyper aware of hurricanes because I was afraid of it because I grew up in LA where we had earthquakes. And when I came here and I heard about hurricanes, I was scared about it. But I knew we'd had the one the year before that was kind of like this false flag where everybody thought it was coming, but then it didn't come, and everybody was pissed off because they just spent hours trying to get out of town, but so there was kind of like this disarming. A lot of people were not kind of as anxious about it, and it wasn't until Saturday that I start worrying about it as I see people scurrying and I hear about it for the first time. I was busy. The first time I heard about it was the Friday before the Sunday that it came overnight, landed Monday morning landfall. So 3 days before, I didn't really know. I mean that's when I became alarmed.
And it's strange because after we, delivered the body bags, I was expecting to get an order just to turn back and go back to where we were stationed at this time in Georgia. But then immediately we get an order to stand by in the event that we need to be of some service. But I was thinking, okay, why not just stay here at the naval base? I think at that time you also had Jackson Barracks, and the nearest military base would be Belle Chase. But they wanted us specifically to be about 100 to 150 mile radius out, but be ready at moment's notice to be able to come back in.
And was that just to the region or to New Orleans specifically? Like come back? Were they concerned about covering the region with body bags or New Orleans?
No, they told us to leave those there, but
this was for New Orleans.
Right, they did not want us to be in the city in the event when it hits, but to be within. For some reason, they gave the Pacific. It was 100. They want us to be no more or no less than 112 miles out.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And body bags, when you deliver body bags, do you normally deal in that count?
That was the most count that I've ever asked to have to load, and then the rush on them put a lot of strain, but it really tested my leadership. It tested the followership of my men, my team. It really, really was draining. Fights broke out. It was, just frustrating. Just it was, but we came together and we got. That's why they say just do it and get her done. That's what we're about.
Okay. Where did you deliver some of these other body bags to?
That's it. Just New Orleans.
No, but you said you delivered body bags.
I'm sorry.
Times.
Oh, of course, like during times of war in Iraq, and then of course with the already decomposed bodies of the women and children in Nicaragua. So, but we've had counts in the thousands, but never that high. That's why I automatically thought that it was another attack like 9/11 or the towers.
Now, have you ever had to bring body bags for other weather events? Was that the only weather event you remember bringing a body bags for?
This is something along with the help of usually your National Guard or Coast Guard units. We would be, of course, being the federal government on the federal level and them on the state level. Of course, we would have the more resources. So in the event so when they don't have those resources, we're there to be of support and things of that nature. So it's very common. So to answer your question personally, I'm quite sure that my personal attachment has probably been doing this for years, but this was my first time ever responding to an event like this as an officer.
Is currently running the facility. I've mentioned that it's our understanding through the president of UAF that the plans are to move forward and demolish the facility this summer. So the question to you is that accurate? Can you explain why? And then perhaps to both you and Mr. Schaefer, is there any benefit in exploring a potential relationship with the University of Alaska to perhaps take over the HARP?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. The Air Force has gotten great value out of HARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it. And but that work has been completed.
So that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Would you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said. There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilized it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator Pell.
I just want to repeat before I turn to
question. Yes, but we do have all that information.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans.
Worldwide.
Millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the Senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir.
What is this technology?
Essentially, we're drawing oceanic rain systems that exist over the oceans into geographic targets, into our agricultural areas. The technology uses electromagnetics, so we're not interfering with the atmosphere or with the environment. We're not damaging it. We're not using chemicals fired through rockets like other technologies use. We use a very gentle but powerful technology, launching electromagnetics into the atmosphere to modify the flow of the weather system over the ocean and drawing it into a target. So to try and keep it simple, we establish some kind of link with a weather system, and once we've seen through satellite meteorology that we have that link, we're able to draw that system in incrementally towards the target, such as in this case the Horn of Africa.
So let's take this one as a case study. This was April 20th through the 21st of 2012. This was a visual that they showed on the website, and just as an example of their composite map, and I thought it was a great example to use because here you can actually see you have a front coming through, and then the Doppler radars build a wall. They bloom out, stopping it from continuing on, and it sends it up instead. See, it's coming across, but the blooms come, and then it breaks it up and sends it out. And this is even illustrated really well on the slower one here. See, this Doppler turns that, takes that line of weather, and because it's here, the energy goes like that, goes around it, like it splits it up, like it's a Laffy Taffy being pulled on a line of conveyor belts. Low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, high pressure. Okay, we're going to get more specific than this, but just to show you preliminarily, Katrina moved in through here, made landfall through KLIX. We're talking about the eye, not the walls. And kept going up. KDGX, KGWX, here on the border before going up. So that is, again, 3 for 3 going in on NexRad. Dunk, 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 dunk. Okay, and we saw that with Irma. It's the same spot. It hit the same place in the Keys. All right. I don't know how they navigated over the waters, if they let it be, if they stir it some other ways. But when it comes to land, it comes home over NexRad. This killed friends of mine. Not at the time, but the year later, in the aftermath. I buried a lot of friends. I found one. And actually, preliminarily, I was too emotional to notice that it was actually 5 Doppler radars in a row that were hit with the eye of the storm. And for those who would offer up the argument that there are many Doppler radars in operation across the continental US, I would agree that there are, but then I would also challenge you to a game of pool. Because anyone will know there's also a bunch of pool pockets. There's 6 on a table that's rectangular. There's a bunch of balls, and when you break them, you are not guaranteed to get a single one in.
Art, I didn't make any balls on that break shot.
And yet, when it comes to the Doppler radar, You can count on it interacting in a directional line with these Doppler radars when they come into land. They come into a Doppler radar, or they are steered by another Doppler radar. And we can see this with the beams that are supposedly scanning to read the weather. They are feeding the weather. We see this, and we're able to now predict what we're seeing, which is how I was able to predict Alberto's landfall and Irma's second and third landfall that hit marks, and Nate's and Puerto Rico's Doppler radar was taken out by Maria. Miami's Doppler radar during Andrew was taken out in 1992. Doppler radar, the last version of Doppler radar, came out in 1988. And the technology goes back to Tesla before 1899. And by 1907, there were large-scale experiments going on that were affecting the face of the earth. Look at Tunguska, and look at who Tesla was messaging that day. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence. So we're watching Katrina go to KAMX, and then KBYX, somehow get navigated over the open waters, landing, being steered in by KLIX, going up into KDGX, and then into KGWX before being broken up and dissipating over the rest of the East Coast as various storm systems or whatever have you. Gone. Gone are the days I can listen to the rain falling down outside my window and not think it is an enemy trying to wash us away. Gone. I wrote that in the days and weeks following my return after my hurricane from Katrina. It wouldn't be for another decade, at least, that I would be able to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, how true that sentiment turned out to be.